This video is brought to you by Grandeur Warranty, your #1 online source for factory-backed extended warranties in the country.
Do you have an adventurous side where you find yourself frequently off the paved road? You're looking for an SUV that isn't so big to where it's hard to park? Or you just want something that's comfortable but capable if that off-roading mood strikes? I give you the Bronquito, the baby Bronco, the Bronco Sport. Today we're going to be going over the ins and outs with an MPG test and a slip test to show you that the Bronco Sport is the Bronco you need, even if it's not the Bronco you want. All right, so we are up here at the ranch to do our slip test, and the idea here is to get the tires stuck on the rollers on purpose so we can test how different cars deal with getting different tires stuck in a zero traction situation. So our first test, both front wheels are going to be stuck, so the rears will need to get us unstuck. We're not going to use any special modes, so what we're going to do is we're going to reverse very gently onto the rollers. Put it in neutral, let it get settled a little bit. All right, now we're gonna put it in drive and see just how long it takes for us to get unstuck. We're gonna do some light throttle here. Okay, well that was pretty simple. Not too surprising there. All right, now the second test is gonna be the diagonal test. And this is gonna simulate kind of like going through the trenches or maybe going up a snowy curb or anything like that where you're not getting full traction on the front and rear. And this shouldn't necessarily be an issue for this Bronco Sport because it has an advanced 4x4 system with a dual clutch rear diff. So it's gonna be able to send power to the rear wheels where it needs to, all power to one wheel where it needs to. So got it in neutral, let it settled. Now let's see how long it takes for us to get out. We are still in normal mode. Little slip and out, easy. That was pretty simple. So for our third test, we have rollers on 3 of the wheels with only the right front on the ground. This is gonna be the second hardest test we're gonna do. And most of the time, this is gonna be more of a dramatic situation than you would ever actually encounter in the real world. So let's reverse it back onto the rollers here. All right, put it in neutral, let her settle down a little bit. All right, we're still in normal mode. So let's see how much it takes for us to get out of this sticky situation. A little bit of slip. All right, we got out pretty good, but let's put it in one of the goat modes and see if we could get out even easier. So we are gonna back up onto the rollers again. Perfect. All right, we're in neutral. Let's put it into rock crawl. It's going to be our most aggressive setting. In neutral, we've let it kind of chill out for a second, back into drive. Let's see how difficult it is for us to get off of these rollers. Ooh, a little bit of skidding there. So it went quicker, but still a little bit of excitement. Now for the final test where only the right rear tire is on the ground, and this is where that dual clutch rear diff is really gonna help be able to send all that torque to one wheel, ideally that right rear, to get out of this situation. So let's put it back onto the rollers. All right, neutral, let her settle, and then let's put this back into normal mode and see how it does. Drive, a little bit of throttle. Okay, so not terrible, but let's put it back into rock and see what we can do. Okay, we are recentered. Let's get back on the rollers here. Neutral, let her settle down a little bit, and let's put it back into rock crawl and see if that makes a huge difference or not. We're in drive, little light throttle here. Ooh, a little bit of a burnout, but she got out pretty quick. Now, as you can see, that dual clutch for that rear diff is doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing, because we left a little baby burnout on that last test with that right rear tire. So let's get it on the lift, see what's going on underneath, and then we're gonna take it into Andre's pit. So we are under the lift, under the Bronco Sport, and as I mentioned before, with the Sasquatch package, you do get better protection, and that includes these metal skid plates under the radiator and the engine. For suspension, it does have McPherson struts in the front, and then coming down here, we do have our exhaust, which is pretty exposed, but on the sides here, we do have metal skid plates for your fuel tanks, which is really nice to see. Here is gonna be where your dual clutch rear differential is. It is a little exposed, so that's not something I'm too excited about. And on the side is where you can see the Bilstein dampers. This 2025 Ford Bronco Sport is in eruption green, and this is the Badlands trim with the Sasquatch package, which gives you things like steel bumpers and this bull bar, metal skid plates, 2 additional recovery hooks on the back, bigger 29-inch all-terrain tires on 17-inch wheels. Look at this nice beefy sidewall. It also has Bilstein rear dampers with a 1-inch larger lift than the standard Bronco Sport, bringing up its ground clearance to 8.6 inches. Under the hood, you also get a 2-liter EcoBoost turbocharged 4-cylinder, producing 250 horsepower, 277 pound-feet of torque, made it up to an 8-speed automatic. Now, it's not the highest tow capacity in the world, but it can tow up to 2,700 pounds. But where I'm impressed is the cargo space. So we've got a lot going on back here. We have a pretty rugged shelf back here, which can flip back. And then we also have this rubberized mat that goes on the bottom and on the back of the seats. So when you fold these down, it's not marring up the back of the seats, which I think is really, really cool. Another thing we have is a 400-watt inverter with a 12-volt port. And even better, on this side, you see this button here, we've got lights for the top of the liftgate. My favorite thing, a full-size spare, y'all. That's right. If you are going off-roading, you will be covered because you've got a full-size spare. In the back, it has 29 cubic feet of room behind the second row seat, but with the second row seat folded down, 60-40 split, mind you, it jumps up to 60 cubic feet. This shelf is actually pretty nifty and pretty durable, and it locks in place, and the way you can remove it is by switching these dials over here on the both left and right side, and then this actually just pops right on out. Now, I think the exterior looks pretty good, but what about the interior? Well, not only does it look just as good, but it is very comfortable. And check out these seats. This is dark space gray, and there's a lot going on here. We have kind of a softer material here into this leather with perforation, and a lot of yellow accents, not only in the stitching and on this trim here, but in the little perforation of the holes itself, there are little bits of yellow, and I think it gives it a lot of depth. These are going to be really easy to clean too, so if you are doing some off-roading stuff where you get a little muddy, no problem. But also, speaking of detail, look at the sides here. We've got a little Bronco stitched right into the side of the seat with some little pockets. I think that's pretty neat. One of the big changes in the 2025 model is they swapped out the old 8-inch screen for this huge 13.2-inch screen, which is pretty responsive, easy to use, and comes with different apps like Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and YouTube. It also comes with a 12.3-inch digital cluster. Both of these screens come standard. In the touchscreen is going to be where you're going to find your temperature controls. Unfortunately, no physical buttons, so womp womp for me, but this is where you're going to find your heated seats, your heated steering wheel, and your auto function, which has 3 different levels, which I do like a lot. Behind the screen, you're going to find two USB-C ports with this little cubby, but that's not where the charging stops. You actually get two more USB ports down here, as well as this little 12-volt port. And off to the side is where you're going to find your wireless phone charger. But wait, there's more. Under the center console here, there's actually another 12-volt port and a pretty decent size opening here. It's got a rotary dial gear selector, which is not my favorite, but this one is pretty easy to use. But this is where a lot of the fun stuff happens. This is going to be your GOAT mode selection. It goes from normal, slippery, eco, sport, off-road, rally, and rock crawl. If that wasn't enough, it even has a locking rear diff and trail control. It's also got 4 auxiliary switches for any electrical accessories you may want to add. In an age where everything is so expensive, it's important to protect your investment. And the best way you can do that is with an extended warranty with Grainger Warranty. With Grainger, you can save up to $1,000 and they will repair your car with OEM parts installed by OEM trained techs. Go to GraingerWarranty.com or click on that link below. Jumping into the back, you can see it has that same really cool space gray interior that continues into the back, and it makes this really, really comfortable to sit in. So, but what about space, right? Well, I have quite a bit of headroom. I'm 5'7" for reference, and this is a lot of headroom up here. And not only that, but for my legs as well, I've left the seat where I drive it, and I still have plenty of leg room back here. Not to mention, we've got these cool little zipper pockets in the back of both front seats for extra storage. It also has adjustable air vents, as well as 2 USB-C ports and another 400-watt inverter. The attention to detail back here is actually pretty impressive, not only just from the design with the stitching and this cool little Bronco logo down here, but from the back pockets and all of these attachment sections here as well. All right, we are heading down into Andre's pit to go through the trenches. The weeds are tall. It is hard to see where you are going, but we are in the baby Bronco and my confidence is high. So this first run through the trenches, we're gonna leave it in normal mode. So nothing fancy going on. And my parking sensors are gonna go nuts because of these high weeds. Okay, so let's just kind of cruise on up and see how this does, especially with that dual clutch rear diff. And this is where it's gonna start to get a little dicey. All right, so we've got one wheel up in the air. Oh, all right, yeah, a little bit of slip. Traction control is kicking on and we got up. All right, and now we're just climbing. Okay, so we made it, but we knew it was gonna make it. But I feel like it could be a little prettier. So let's run that through again in a different drive mode. All right, so on this next run, we are gonna put it into rock crawl because that's gonna be our most aggressive drive mode. And when doing so, that is going to automatically kick on our locking rear diff as well as locking us into 4-wheel drive. So let's get going and see how this does going up trenches. And let's see if we get stuck like where we did in normal. So far, so good. Let's send that torque where it needs to go. Okay, no issues. That's just crawling right on up. Little tiny bit of slip, but really no problem. Let's do it a third time, but with trail control selected. As I mentioned before, that's kind of like the off-road cruise control, which can be set from 1 to 20 miles an hour. So let's keep it in rock crawl and let's put it in to that trail control mode and see just how well that gets us up nice and steadily. I set the speed limit. I'm gonna keep it really low at between 1 and 2 miles an hour right now. And my feet are not on the pedals and we are taking off. It's still remaining at about 1-2 miles an hour and it's going to kick in the accelerator and the brakes when needed. So it's not just going to be full force, same speed all the way up. It's going to kick on the certain thing when it's needed. And so far, we're still keeping traction. We're slipping a little bit, but not too much. But this trail control is actually working pretty well, still maintaining about 2 miles an hour, 1 mile an hour. All right, pretty good. I'm impressed. Let's kick up the trail control speed, and we're up. That was pretty good. So we've seen that it's very comfortable in here, and it's obviously very capable because it just got through Andre's pit in the trenches, which is way more of an extreme situation than you would ever experience on the day-to-day. But what you will experience day-to-day is fuel economy. All right, so we are going to do a mini Denver 100, a Buc-ee's 70, if you will. So we're gonna drive up to the Buc-ee's up in Johnstown, Colorado, which is about 35 miles away, 35 miles back down. A lot of it is highway, but there is still some stop and go traffic before we get to I-25. Now, highway, the Bronco Sport is estimated to get about 27 MPG, but combined it's about 23. So if we can get in between those two, I'm gonna be pretty happy. But let's top her off and see how we go. Trips are reset. Let's hit the road. One of the nice things that the Bronco Sport has is Copilot 360 Assist 2.0, which comes with things like adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, and evasive steering assist, which is going to help avoid collisions. So since we are on the highway right now, I am going to select my lane keep assist and cruise control. So first I'm going to set my cruise control here, and we're going to set it to 55, which is the speed limit. And then I'm also going to select my lane keep assist. And she is on. This is still a hands on the wheel system, so you got to make sure that you are still paying attention. Well, we are now on I-25, and we have our adaptive cruise control set to 75 miles an hour. And so far, so good. It is slowing down for me when I need it to. It's speeding up when I need it to. It's working out pretty well. Even the lane keep assist. Now, it is a little bit jerky. I've definitely experienced better lane keep assist systems, but it does work. Again, this is a hands-on system, so you're going to want to keep your hands on the wheel. The ride so far is actually pretty smooth, and I think a lot of that also has to do with the huge sidewall we have on these 29-inch tires. Typically, when you've got bigger wheels with smaller tires, you ended up with a smaller sidewall, which can give you a little bit of a rougher ride. But so far, this is actually a very pleasant drive. Okay, Buc-ee's sandwich eaten. We are, let's see, 33.9 miles into our trip, so we are officially halfway. And right now we're averaging 29.8, which is better than what they estimate for highway driving. We've been doing a little bit of both, mainly highway, but there has been some stop and go situations. So let's see if we can keep that average going. And I'm not hypermiling. I don't have this in eco mode. Everything is in normal. I just want to see what normal everyday driving is going to give you as far as fuel economy. So let's go back to work and see what we get. I have to say, this is a very quiet ride, and I think a lot of that has to do with, again, the tires that are on this Bronco Sport. Now, if you had giant tires like 35s or 37s, likely you're not going to get the same type of quiet driving experience. Typically with bigger size tires, you're going to get a much louder road noise, but you're not getting that here. You know, we still have pretty large tires with a decent sidewall with those 29-inch tires, and it's still quiet. It's kind of the best of both worlds. We're stuck in a little bit of traffic at the moment. However, before, when we had a little bit of open road, I noticed that this has got some pep in its step. This is 0 to 60 in 5.9 seconds, which is nothing to be upset about. All right, we just got back to the gas station, 67.4 miles driven, and the car computer is telling me that we averaged 29.4. So let's fill her up and see what that calculation is. All right, we're gonna wait 30 seconds and then we'll top her off. Alrighty. Okay, 2.13 gallons. So we got 67.4 miles driven divided by 2.3 gallons. That's giving us 29.3. So that's actually right in line with what this car computer is telling us. With 23 miles combined MPG and 27 highway, this is doing a lot better than I expected. Now, when it comes to its competitors, there's really three that definitely come in mind. The Jeep Compass Trailhawk, the Subaru Forester Wilderness, and the Honda CR-V Trail Sport. Now, let's talk about the differences between those and this. So this has 250 horsepower, a 2-liter EcoBoost 4-cylinder, 8.6 inches of ground clearance. Those are all fine and dandy, right? But it's got a lot of good skid plates, really good beefy bull bar and recovery hooks. This thing is actually pretty well equipped to be able to handle a lot of off-road situations. Now, the Jeep Compass Trailhawk, it's got a 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder with only 200 horsepower. Still has an 8-speed automatic, so that is nice. It does have some skid plates, ground clearance at 8.6 inches, so not bad, but base price is $33,000 and its MPG is averaging at 27 miles per gallon. Now, the Subaru Forester Wilderness, that's got a 2.5-liter boxer engine, but only 182 horsepower, made it up to a CVT, which is kind of not exactly what you want for an off-roading situation. This, having a dual clutch rear diff, is a lot better for catching yourself in an off-roading situation, so you can really send all of that torque to one rear wheel if you need to. It does have a front skid plate, but not a whole lot of underbody protection on that Forester Wilderness, but it does have much higher ground clearance at 9.2 inches. Its base price is at $38,000, but its average fuel economy is 26 MPG. Now, finally, the Honda CR-V Trail Sport. This is probably the least off-roady option. This is going to be more so your option that's geared towards fuel efficiency more than actually off-roading. I would say it's off-pavement capable. You know, it's got a 2-liter hybrid system, 204 horsepower, but no skid plates at all. It has 8.2 inches of ground clearance, which is the same as all of the other CR-V models. So it's really not that big of a difference when it comes to off-roading. You get some, you know, beefier tires, but that's really about it. It has a base price of $40,000, but a much higher fuel economy at 35 MPG. Now, when it comes to price on this baby Bronco, this Bronco Sport, its base price is also $40,000. However, this does have quite a few options, about $4,800 worth of options, with the destination fee, which is $1,595, brings the total of this Bronco Sport Badlands with the Sasquatch package at a total of $46,520. So which one is the right one for you? Well, considering this has that huge upgraded steel bumper with the bull bar, 29-inch all-terrains with smaller 17-inch wheels to give you that solid sidewall, a decent amount of underbody protection, not to mention that dual clutch rear differential, and still averaging 29 miles per gallon. If you are interested in having a little bit of adventure off the paved road, I think this Bronco Sport is the one for you. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. This is Jen. We will see you next time.
Starting route to Buc-ee's. Proceed to
Buc-ee's.
and take the first left.
What?
Why is she so excited?
Buc-ee's.